Hi, welcome to Mission Lutheran Paint Studio. I'm Abby, and today we're going to do a beginner level painting, but also if you have some advanced skills, there's definitely room to show that and all the little details in the background and in the ocean. We're going to be painting Treasure Island in Laguna Beach. It's filled with lots of fun, bright, vibrant flowers and a really nice ocean that makes you want to jump right in. So let's get started. All right, so to start off, we're gonna get our setup ready. So we need a bucket of water, and if you picked it up from Mission Lutheran, you're gonna have all these paintbrushes over here. So we've got this really wide one that we're gonna be using for the sky, actually. And then this one here, this bigger one, this is gonna be used for the ocean. Then the little ones we're gonna be using for details and the mountains. Now, the colors I have here are warm yellow, red, green, burnt umber, burnt sienna, white, and blue. I also got some, I forgot the word for this. Palette paper. Okay. Should I restart?
Okay. Yeah, just start with that. I got some palette paper.
I got some palette paper and then all the rest? Okay. I also got some palette paper here that we're going to be using to mix colors. And I personally like to use this palette knife right here. So that way we don't waste paint by getting it sucked up by our paintbrushes. And I've also got some paper towels. And we're ready to go. Great. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is start off with a light drawing, kind of to block out where we're going to put certain colors. So we'll start with the horizon line. That goes about 1/3 down from the canvas, from the top of the canvas, and we're going to go straight across. So it's not a perfect line. Don't worry about it too much. We're just going to go ahead and go for it, like that. You see? Even though it goes up a little bit, we'll fix it when we paint it. Now the second part we're going to block out is going to be for the bougainvillea bush. That starts about, so you go about 1/3 down from where the horizon line and the bottom, we're going to go about 1/3 down, that way right here, more or less. And we're just going to bring it out like that, just like that. Doesn't have to be perfectly round, doesn't have to look just like that. This is just so we know where the colors are going to go. All right, now the next thing we're going to do is block out some cliffs. These kind of look like half trapezoids, trapezoid being like that, right? So it's going to look just like this. So we're going to start with the front half trapezoid, coming out from right here at the top, at the right side of the horizon line, going in about 2 inches, and then down, and back in, half trapezoid. Now, we're going to take this little point off right here, go ahead and erase it, and flatten it out. Just like that, we've got our first clip. The second clip is the same shape, but it comes out much further into the water than the first one. So it's got the same horizon line here at the top. We're going to go out, we're going to go way past the first one, about a couple inches, maybe 3 inches, and then we're going to do the same thing, half trapezoid. Actually, let's bring it up here like this, half trapezoid. Same thing, we're going to flatten out that tip, just like that. Now we've got our first 2 clips. Now we're going to go ahead and put in the rocks that are in the ocean, some over here, just popping out of the water here and there. The first thing we want to do is we want to draw a line straight out from the bottom left corner of the furthest cliff. That's right here. We're going to go ahead and draw straight out this way. Then we're going to go ahead and put in the first rock. It ends about right up here by the horizon, like a long triangle, like this, long jaggedy triangle, like that. Now we don't have to worry right now about blocking out the other ones, so we're going to go right into drawing the beach. Keep everything like this. Don't erase that line we have here. We're going to go ahead and start. Let's see, this is about 1/3 in from the right side of the rock. Right here, and we're going to drop down, let's see, right about here. So that's underneath the first cliff. A little bit to the left. Right there. Draw a nice cove, just like that. And that's all we have to block out. So yeah. Yeah. So now we'll go ahead and leave this up for a minute, make sure everybody's caught up. So you can see this is going to be the beach, closest cliff, furthest cliff. All this space here is the ocean, and this is where we're going to put our bougainvillea flowers.
Now let's start off with the sky. It's going to be a light blue at the top and then kind of fades down to white down by the horizon. Start off by taking some blue paint and get a nice big dollop on the canvas or on the palette paper. Okay. So we'll go ahead and put some blue on the palette paper and then get lots of white on there too, right next to it. As so. I'm going to go ahead and bring in the blue to the white to make a nice pretty sky blue. Okay, now here's the sky blue that we end up with. I'm going to go ahead and take this really big brush right here and get all that on here, picking up all the paint that I made. All right, now move over to the canvas. There we go.
And now it's going to go up top, right here.
Mixing some more.
There we go. Notice I'm going all the way across. I'm not going in little strokes just like this. The texture of the sky, there's no clouds, no nothing. So it's going to go all the way across like this, all the way on the top part. Okay, now we've got most of the sky covered. We're going to go in and get some white.
So I'm picking up that whole bunch of white that I have on there.
I'm going to put that down by the horizon. Really light colored horizon. Still trying to take long strokes. Like that. There we go. Now I'm going to start blending these two colors right here. Just like that, and there's our sky. I'm going to go ahead and paint the sides too.
The next part of the painting is going to be the ocean. We're going to start off with a pure blue, Same one we used for the sky, but this time we're not going to mix it with any white. Not yet, at least. So here we go. I got some pure blue. And I'm picking up my number 8 brush. And now I'm going to start painting right underneath the horizon. Just this part right here. I'm not going to bring this down too much. Just like this. I start off at the very top, make things easier for myself. Painting around the cliff. And this dark blue is going to end on this part right at the bottom of the cliff. I'm going to go ahead and use this to kind of flatten out my rock. Okay. And there we go. There's the first part. Now we're going to go ahead and paint the rest. So it's okay if we want to bring this down a little bit, blend it with that. All right. Now we're going to make a new color. So I'm going to go ahead and use that same blue mixed with white, the same one I used for the sky. I'm actually going to add a little bit of green to it. Let's see, just a little scoop here. Start with that. Okay. Now we have a very light kind of seafoam green. Just like that I use with blue, white, and a little bit of green. I'm using the same brush. I'm not going to wash it. It's just going to be blue everywhere, so. Okay, got my brush super full. And now I'm going to kind of in patches, so I want a bunch of different shades of blue and some green to show. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of go with some wispy strokes. Just like that. Kind of wherever. A bit random wherever we put it. I'm going to go ahead and use all that paint I made. Go ahead and blend some into here, just like that. Even add a little bit up here. Mix it in a bit. I'm using the side of my brush, so I'm not using it like this. I'm using a bit more like this. See? Make it look like there's some sun shining on the water in the back. Okay, now I'm going to go in again with pure blue. Mix that in here and there. Fill in some gaps. Using the side of my brush to go for a thinner stroke. Just like this. So they're all kind of blending into one another, all these colors. Now I'm going to go back to the palette. I'm going to take that pure blue and I'm going to mix it with some white, just a little bit, so it's a darker sky blue. Okay, now here's the color we ended up with, just like that. Okay, so now we're going to take this slightly lighter blue and go ahead and do the same thing. Just going to kind of mix it in, filling in the cracks with different shades of blue. So I'm kind of pulling it into the other colors so it blends nicely. Dipping back into the sea green I made. I'm going to bring that back a little bit. And you can go back and forth between all these colors that you've made on your palette. From dark blue to light blue to sea green, etc. You can dip your brush in any of them and put it wherever. It's kind of freestyle, this part. And you can see that around the cove, around the shore, I'm kind of leaving it blank right now because I'm going to bring in some lighter blue colors because this is where the whips are splashing all around here. So we're going to fill that in with other colors. Okay, I'm going back to the light blue. Bringing in some dark blue. Trying to get lots of variety. You can see I'm also kind of neglecting this edge That's because flowers are basically going to fill all this up. So you don't need to add too much detail to the water that's surrounding over here. You can see sometimes I'll just put down a bunch of paint and then use the side of my brush to give some texture to it, feather it a little bit. Make sure you go all the way to the bottom, cover all the sides like that. There's no blank spots. Make sure you get all the white covered. Okay, now I'm going back into that sea green. Bring it back a little bit. All right, so now I'm going to go in with a lighter color. So I'm going to take one of those blues and I'm just going to add a bunch of white to it. We're going to make kind of like a sky blue. Okay, here's the color we ended up with. Pretty much the same one we used for the sky. Okay, I'm gonna go more around the beach where the waves are breaking. Just trying to get all those white spots filled. I'm going to go in with some dark blue again, try to blend the two colors. Sometimes it's hard because the paint we put on the canvas gets dry really fast, and so we need to put in some new paint in order to blend it. There we go. And do the same thing with green. I'm going to go in again, get some wet paint on there so we can keep blending. Like that. Going in with dark blue again. Getting any parts of the canvas that aren't completely covered with paint. Okay, we'll leave it at that for the ocean for now. We're going to come back to it a little bit later to add some waves. But for now, that's the ocean. So yeah, now we'll move on to the cliffs. Okay, we're ready. So now we're going to start painting the cliffs. To get kind of a sandy brown color that we're going to be using, we're going to go ahead and, well, start with white. And we're going to get some burnt umber down on there. You don't need too much for this. And some yellow. Now we want to try to use even parts of these three to make that sandy brown. And then for the brush, let's use, this is the 6 brush. So I'm going to start by scooping in some white. Like that, there you go. A little bit of yellow. So we'll start by mixing those two. So you can see that way we get a really nice light yellow. It's a bit too yellow for Cliff though, so we're going to go ahead and add some brown. And there we go. It's a very good cliffy color. So let's start with this. I'm going to go ahead and mix some more actually. This one you can see it has a little bit less white, but that's totally fine. If yours is darker or lighter than this, as long as it's more or less the same color, it totally works. Okay, so we're going to use this as a base coat. Then we're going to be building on top of it. So I'm just going to, just get that on there. It's okay if it goes a little out of the line, so we'll fix that when we put in the sand. Okay, there's the first base coat. Same thing on the second clip. Like that. You can see I'm actually pulling it a little bit above the horizon. All right, there's our base coat. Now we can go ahead and add some darker browns to this. Darker browns and lighter browns, actually. Give it some depth, make them really look like cliffs. So I'm going to take the burnt umber. And I'm not even going to mix it. I'm just going to use it just like that. I'm just going to put more shady spots. Add some contrast in there. You see, because all the paint's wet, it's mixing really well. It gets darker and then lighter, kind of becomes more of one color. Okay, just like that. And we're going to continue with the same color. Keep going with the burnt umber. Do the same thing on the second clip. I'm just kind of pulling the brown around here and there. And get more texture. Okay, so now we can go in with the lighter color. Not a very different color, but a lighter color. We're going to keep using the burnt umber, but now we're going to add some white. It's probably about 2 parts white, 1 part burnt umber. Okay, so there it is. About 2 parts white, 1 part burnt umber. We're going to do the same thing that we did with the darker color, but now we're just adding highlights. Just making sure it has lots of colors on it. Lots of stuff to look at. Okay. There we go. Now there's one more color we're going to use for the cliffs. That is going to be a very dark brown. Okay, so I'm going to start with the burnt umber. I'm going to go ahead and actually add a little bit of green to it. Just a little bit. Just a little bit on my paintbrush. There we go. This makes like a really kind of a muddy green color. Here. Let's see. Just like that. Go. I'm going to use some over here. That. Make kind of a dark spot over here too. Kind of like a little cave. Side of the cliff. That. Gonna bring some more low lights over here. Just like that. I'm just using the side of my brush. Pretty lightly and not pressing too hard. Just like that. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to darken up this whole back part of the second cliff. Like that. That way we can really see the difference between the first and second cliff. Okay. There we go. We're done with the first 2 cliffs. Now we're going to continue with this same kind of really dark greenish brown color. And we're going to start filling in the rocks as well. Okay, just like that, we just got one coat on there. We're going to be going back with some darker and lighter colors to fill this in a bit, kind of like we did with the cliffs. Okay. Now I'm going to have a switch brushes to something a little bit thinner. Let's go ahead and use, yeah, this one's perfect. This is the number 4 brush. We're going to be using the same color though. That same really dark brownish green. Now we're going to go A couple more rocks to the left side of the big rock. Just like that. Really shallow rocks. See just a little bit of it coming out. And another rock way out here. Way on the left side. Just like that. Okay, then we're going to leave those. We've got two more rocks to add. First one's right over here, right on the shore. It's even touching the sand a bit. Just like that. All right, now the third one's going to go about right here. Kind of the same shape as the other ones, like a really shallow triangle. Just like that. Great, now we're going to go in with some darker colors. We're going to get our black, which I actually forgot to get, which is black. So now we're going to use the same brush, but we're going to go in with some black. I'm going to add some shadows to these rocks. I'm going to start here at the top of the biggest rock. I'm going to kind of work my way down like that, over to the side. I'm going to go ahead and fill this in. That way we can kind of see that the sun's hitting it from this angle, lightening up this part and then darkening the rest. Like that. Go ahead and add black to the other rocks too. Like that. Okay. Now last little rock. And there we go. We're going to keep going with the black. I'm going to bring it kind of over here now. We put it here in this corner. A little bit over here. I'm kind of outlining right where the first cliff meets the second cliff, being it extra dark over here. Okay, that'll do it. Now let's get onto the sand. You can use the same brush, just make sure you wash it. So now that we're done with the cliffs and the rocks, we're going to move on to painting the sand. To make a sand color, I went ahead and used a bunch of white with some warm yellow and a little bit of brown, or burnt umber. So here's the color I came out with. It's that one right there. Oh, and I'm using the, this is number 8 brush. You can really use any brush for this one though. So you can see that for the sand, I'm not really worrying about what kind of strokes I'm taking, just kind of getting the color on there. And once again, I'm not really paying much attention to how it looks over by this line here because there's going to be flowers right over there. Okay, and we're done with the sand. It's that easy. Okay. There we go. Done with that. So now that we're done with the sand, we're done with the sky, the rocks, the cliffs, and the ocean, we're going ahead and add a little bit of details. So we're going to add some waves, some white waves over here, some white waves crashing over all these rocks, maybe some highlights over here in the sand. So for this next step, we're just going to be using plain white. I'm going to start by adding to the sand. I'm just getting some white on my brush. I'm going to hold it sideways and just very kind of drag it around onto the sand. Just like that. Okay. There we go. Now I'm going to switch my brush and I'm going to use, let's see, any of these small brushes work. They're all kind of the same, so you can pick any of them. I'm going to be picking 5. So now we have a clean brush, dipping it into the white. And I'm going to start over here by adding waves, so I'm just going to be patting it up and down. I don't want it to be too uniform, because it is just a wave, right? No uniform waves. Crashing off the rocks, just like that. I'm filling in this part right here. Like that. So I filled in that blue spot right between these two rocks, and I'm going to do the exact same thing on this. There we go. Okay, there's that. Same thing on these, exact same movement of the brush, no different. Once again on this rock, more waves crashing. Okay, now we've got plenty of waves on the rocks. Now we're going to add some white to the sand here. So we've got waves that wash up onto the shore. Kind of the same stroke that I was doing earlier. Just kind of bouncing the brush up and down. Make it look kind of like it's fluffy a little bit. You can see I'm kind of pulling it into the yellow, blending it in certain parts. Like that. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to add a few white caps, some spots in the flat water where the wind hits and it makes some tiny little waves just like that. You can see I'm just doing a couple dots pretty randomly here and there, adding some highlights to the water. Okay, there we go. There's our white highlights on the water. So now let's go ahead and add some palm trees up here and some gazebos, some little details. We can use the same brush because it's really small, it's super thin, works just fine. If you wanted to, you could potentially even use a pen for this, just because they're such small little details. You're not going to be seeing the color. Yeah, so whatever you want to use. Whatever works. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use black, because why not? You can use black, you can use dark brown, dark green. It's going to be really thin. We're not really going to be able to see the color, so anything goes. So let's start with two little palm trees right over here. I'm going to try to go as lightly as I can. It's really far off in the distance. Let's go right here. Just like that. So I've got the two lines. And then I'm going to kind of put some branches. Just like that. There's the first. Like that. There's the first palm tree. Second palm tree. Okay. Now let's put in some gazebos. And start with a line right here. Just like that. And then two lines down. Just like that. One more. Easy. I'm going to go ahead and add some more tall palm trees. This. Starting just with the lines. And then I'm going to go ahead and add the branches. So I'm starting with a little dot on all these. See where I should start with the branches. So they've got somewhere to come out from. Okay, there we go. There's our palm trees and our gazebos. If you want, you can go ahead and add more palm trees, more gazebos, whatever floats your boat. All right, now to the fun part. We're going to do the bougainvillea bush. We're going to use a ton of colors. We're going to be using pink, white, green, mint green, black, red. Yeah, and we're also going to use our fingers for this part, so that's really fun. Now we're going to start actually by taking our big round brush and we're just going to put down a base coat. So let's go ahead and use a dark green. So we're going to take some of our green here and then the opposite of green is red, and so that means that they mix really well together to make a really good dark green. Like this. Now this part doesn't matter if it's pretty because we're going to be painting over it. This is just going to be the background. Just trying to get a big coat on there. Actually need more paint for this. You can go ahead and make some more. This time I'm using burnt sienna to mix with it, just because I'm low on red. They work kind of interchangeably in this case. There we go. Okay, there we go. First part done. Now we can put away this brush, because now we will use our fingers to paint the flowers. All right. So we're going to start with the red. Just going to take the color, I'm not even going to mix it with anything. I'm going to start by putting my 2 fingers in. This. Or like this. And we're just going to leave some dots around. It doesn't have to be too pretty. This is actually kind of more base. We're going to be putting the flowers over these. There we go. So we've got little circles, little dots. Sometimes I pick up some paint from one dot to make another one. Like this one has a ton of paint. So you can just kind of move it around a bit. You can see I'm kind of focusing the red on the middle and on the bottom of the canvas. That's because these are kind of meant to represent or to look like the pink flowers in shade. So this is kind of a back layer. And then we're going to work our way to the front. The color's getting lighter and lighter. Okay. That's probably about good enough for now. Just gonna add a little bit more, make some more in clusters. Okay. All right. Now we can mix some pink. So for this part, it's very much freestyle. So with that said, you can make pink flowers, you can make orange flowers, yellow flowers. Are there blue bougainvillea? Maybe. If you want, you can make blue bougainvillea in your painting. However, I am into pink. So we're going to start by mixing lots of white. And then we're going to get that red out. There we go. Okay, so I got lots of pink here. I'll show you my pink. There we go. You kind of see I'm trying to make these in clusters a little bit. Going right over the red in some spots, just totally fine. Okay, now I'm getting a little bit bored of seeing, so I'm going to try and make a darker pink. Just gonna add more red to it. There we go. And here's the color we came out with, just like that. Notice I'm purposely trying to break out of this line that we've made for ourselves. Like that. I'm trying to cover all the green spots. So you can use your finger to make some bigger, some smaller. If you want a bigger one, you can push a little bit harder with your finger. If you want a smaller one, try a bit lighter or lighter. Get lots of different shapes, or sizes, their own round, I guess. I'm gonna mix some more darker pink. Okay, there we go. Our darker pink. Okay. Now let's switch it up with the colors. I think I will go ahead and make a purple. So I'm taking all that pink I made, dark pink and light pink. I'm going to use that to make a purple. So I got that, and then I'm going to take a little bit of blue. A little more blue. Okay, there we got kind of a pastel Eastery purple right there. So I use that by mixing the pinks I have with a little bit of blue. I'm going to go ahead and keep covering up the green. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and start adding some other greens. So, if we still have that green that we used to paint the base coat, you can use that. Or you can go ahead and mix another green. But I just want to make that we have got the same polka dotted texture on this whole thing. So any parts that I didn't happen to cover already with green, I'm going to fill in with green again, but this time with my finger. So it matches the rest. They've all got the same texture. Like that. And then we can keep going with the green to add some branches. Like this. I like to go from bigger dots to smaller dots. So If I started with big dots here, I can go smaller and smaller. So we can give it some shape. And then let's go ahead and make a mint green. So we're mix a new green. With white. So it's just green and white. And that's how you make mint green. Okay. So there's our mint green right there. Just green and white. You can go ahead and start adding flowers and branches to the corner over here too. Using the same colors we did for the other flowers and branches. Pink, purple, dark green, mint green, all of it. So I'm just kind of picking up some extra paint, bringing it to parts with less paint, like that. Okay, I'm going to continue with darker green. That. Add some to my light green or mint green. And just for fun, I'm going to throw some yellow in there, because why not? Okay. Put a little bit more over here. All right. ahead and add some white. I'm actually going to use a brush. I'm going to use, this is the number 2 brush. I'm just going to add some white detailing to it. So, kind of like we did for all the sea foam and the waves, we're going to do pretty much the same thing around here. Some little clusters elsewhere like that. You can see I kind of have a Christmas tree shape to all these. So I do 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add some black towards the bottom. And I think the black adds a lot of contrast, which is a very important piece of the painting. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my fingers again, dip it in black dots towards the bottom. Okay, there we go. Okay. Anyway, we're going to go in with a bunch of black towards the bottom. A lot. I'm going to put it on really thick. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to cover this whole
strip down here with black, just like that. You bring it all the way out, like there. Okay. Now we're going to work our way up with the dots. You can see I'm bringing it up with dots, kind of trying to mix a couple in to the rest of the flowers. Just a few. You don't want too many. Okay, so we're pretty much done. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Yeah. All right, so we're pretty much done. And so if you would like to go a little bit further onto this painting, you could add a lot of details like people on the beach, you could add umbrellas, you could add more gazebos, you could add bushes and trees all on this beach because it's pretty empty right now, right? Which is not realistic for a California beach. There's always people on there. So you can definitely go in there with one of the smaller brushes and add lots of people with their tents and their blankets, some people swimming in the water, maybe some people climbing on the rocks, looking at the tide pools. Let's see, you could also add maybe boats into the water, would be a fun idea if you'd like to go into more detail. But however yours turned out, it's going to be totally different from mine, which is going to be totally different from any other painting. So yeah, they're all going to turn out differently. Like the colors, even if I do this a billion times, it's never going to look the same each time, right? It'd be the same thing with yours. So yeah, and all the oceans are going to look different. Everybody's palm trees are going to look different. There's a lot of variety in this painting. There's no one right way to do it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and that's a wrap.